Hey everybody, Coach Josh here, Pitch Mechanics 101. Last decentish day here in lovely Scranton, Pennsylvania. So thought I'd do one more 10-minute walk, possibly for the year, at least in outdoor conditions. So one of the things I got on Twitter, it's actually a former player, wanted to talk about how do you attack these winter months. This could be true whether you're a college athlete, high school athlete, youth, doesn't really matter. I think the easiest way we start attacking this is we set a schedule from day one. What do you need to be ready to do first day of practice, tryouts, whatever, right? Figure out what that is. Let's just use a generic date. Let's say March 1, all right? Easy high school date. I know a fair amount of states starting around that date. If you're expected March 1 to throw a 15-20 pitch bullpen and you want to be at or very close to your best, I would start playing it backwards from there. But the first thing is you got to figure out what that date is. Then you need to be at your best and ready to go and start planning accordingly and kind of working back from there based on, your previous career and what it is it takes you personally to get ready to throw. So let's take that March 1 date. You're expected to throw a 15-20 pitch bullpen at first day of practice, tryouts, whatever. Well, if you want to be at your very best, I'm willing to bet that probably shouldn't be your first bullpen. So we want to have thrown, depending on the guy, 2 to 6. Some guys feel like they're ripped, rare, and ready to go after the second or third bullpen. Some guys maybe feel like it takes 6, 7, 8 to throw off the mound before they feel like they're at their absolute best. You know your arm better than I do. Figure out what that is and start planning accordingly. Let's say we want to have thrown 5 for the sake of easy numbers. If we want to throw March 1, well, then we probably need to spend the last 2 to 3 weeks of February also throwing bullpens. All right, well, now we're, early February is probably the end of our long toss phase. Or plyos or velo or whatever it is. Based off wherever it is, how hard you're throwing at your level, if you feel like you need to throw harder or don't need to throw harder, you're comfortable with where you're at, whatever it is, that 3 to 5 week block before you would start throwing bullpens is probably your next focus, right? Is that a max pull down? Is it a velo phase? Is it a mechanical phase? Is it a pitch design phase? Whatever it can be. But that's probably that block of period of training that you would use. And then before that is probably a 3 to 5-ish week on-ramp mechanical revamp phase. And now you can see we're back into early January. And now depending on the season you've had and how much development you feel like you really need, those things can be elongated from a 3 to 5 week process to a 5 to 7 week process. Guys always ask, should I take time off? Should I not take time off? I think if we build out the calendar from the day one, you need to be ready to go. Backtracking through, okay, this is when I need to start this phase. This is when I need to start this phase. This is when I need to start throwing, period. Well, if you needed to start throwing, 2 weeks after you finish fall ball, and now you're thinking, should I take a break or not? No, I just laid out the schedule for you. You don't have time if that's the priority. Now, for some guys, let's say we're comfortable throwing the level we are. We just want to have a good high school season. We're just college senior that just wants to have a good senior season. Cool. Maybe you can prioritize that longer rest or that longer break because you don't really have to kind of force yourself physically to get somewhere. Now, let's say we're an unsigned high school senior or a college senior that's looking to try to get drafted to play in pro ball, and we're 3 to 5 ticks below velo-wise where we need to be. Well, maybe you need to physically force the envelope a little bit more, and you might not have time to take that 3 to 6 weeks off. You might have to kind of soldier through it. That's kind of the risk reward every player kind of deals with, and that's an individual question. But to me, if you want to have, what's the plan? How should I attack this winter? For me personally, build out the throwing schedule. That's got to be number one. When do you need to be ready by, and start working backwards from that point. How long for each phase? How long does it take me? Number of bullpens to be ready? Whatever it is, and based off the expectation of where you need to be day one, and start building from that point. Because there's no magic secret to it. I mean, that's plain and simple. That's just the way it's got to be done. And then the flexibility comes in with where do you have, where do you want to focus more pitch design, or, I can't honestly tell you what you don't need to do. But essentially your categories break down into velo, pitch design, or mechanical work. Another kind of mechanical and velo kind of get lumped in together, but generally those are the two different things. We're trying to build up arm speed, we're trying to improve mechanically, or we're trying to harness the pitches we have. I think the worst thing guys do is they try to hit really all three buckets in a limited amount of time instead of just trying to go all in on the one. Figure out what the one thing is. If you're tired of being 86, 88, you want to be 90, 92, go all in and try to throw 90, 92. Stop trying to make the average slider great while also trying to throw 90, 92. Sell out to do the one thing. If you throw 90, 92 and you're comfortable there, you don't want to hit 3, 4, 5, it's fine. Well, okay, then we'll make the slider really, really good. Okay? Then maybe that. Or you're the high school senior that's fine with where he's throwing, but you need the better off-speed pitch. Cool. Hammer the off-speed pitch. But just make sure you've got a plan moving forward. That's the biggest thing. See a lot of guys get to around this time of the year. We get around Thanksgiving. We get into early December, and guys don't really have a plan. They're just kind of, playing it by ear, seeing what the weather's like. If you want real results, you got to start planning it out, ideally backwards from day one of that spring season. What do you need to be ready to do? And the guys who can best lay out that plan and then execute it, they're the guys who have success at the next level, simply because they have that sort of mindset to get themselves ready to go. So that's all I've got. Thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the channel.